viewers, this is HelloKittyPowa 1992, Monica, HelloKittyPowa from Zwinky. Hi! And today I'm going to be reading part 2 of the Zwinkster scary stories from the blog Zwinky Skull Scribes. I know in my last vid I read part 1 of the winner's stories, and now I'm going to be reading part 2 of the rest of the winner's stories, but it seems that Zwinky did not put all of the winner's stories, they only put some. Because I have a friend named Kira, she's one of the winners. Her username that got in was _snow_. She's also Kira Blue 13, but for some odd reason her story is not like in here, along with some other person on Zwinky that I saw wasn't on there as well. So I'm guessing that Zwinky only puts like half or something. I don't know, but I just noticed that. So because I really doubt that they would be making part 3, because then it would have said it in the blog, which it doesn't say it. So I'm going to be reading to you all part 2 of the rest of the winners that they chose their stories to be up on the blog. So yes, let's get started. This story is called Stuck in the Interwebs by Canadian Cancer, Canadian_Cancer. So let's read this Zwinky user story. It was another late night, letting my brain melt and come out of my ears as I surfed the internet. I thought maybe I should see if anything was new with the people on Zwinky. I signed on and found some people to talk to in the places I go most. My eyes were tired and starting to hurt, but I was having a good conversation. My eyes got heavier and heavier, begging me to let them close, but I pressed on and dispassionately typed my opinion to people that I don't think were really listening. I didn't notice I had drifted off, but I did realize that I had just woken up, but something felt abnormal. I had a zingy sensation in my limbs and my mind was filled with unimportant static. I opened my eyes and glanced down to my hands. To my surprise, they were pixels. Even worse, everything was in pixels. I couldn't move. I was stuck in the same position, just like everyone else in this pixelated world. I looked forward and I was staring at myself, face down on my keyboard, soundlessly sleeping. I tried to shriek, but I was still frozen, stuck in this stupid pose. Some person beside me started dancing with those silly shoes. You know, the ones that make your body different but you keep the same head? All of a sudden, everything froze. No talking, no moving, just stillness. Then a sudden wave of everything came. Many chat bubbles popped up. People were leaving and people were coming, and I had a throb in my head. Plenty of the people said something along the lines of lag. Oh, so that's what it's like. Annoying for everyone. I felt movement and glanced up again. The same blink. Looking up, I saw a sleepy me, stumbling around for the power button. Uh-oh, what happens when the computer gets turned off? I tried to scream, but still nothing came out. I was frustrated, still stuck in that stupid pose. Then all of a sudden, everything was black and my feet dropped from under me. My heart was in my throat and my stomach was flipping a million times per minute. I was so scared I couldn't scream. I looked around me and hundreds, thousands of members of Zwinkatopia were falling all around me, with the same terror in their eyes. Then it ended. With a loud clatter, my pixels were in 1,000 pieces scattered on a giant pile of more pixels. My vision was in a kaleidoscope as my thoughts became more distant. I was left in colorful pieces for someone to recycle into another page in the interwebs. And that is the end of the first story that was created by Canadian Cancer. That was a very good story. It's like, it's like she's like trapped basically in the internet, the web. I thought that was actually pretty cool. Great job, great job. Now we're going to be starting the second story. This story is called Red by x-rich_princess-x. Rich Princess. So let's start the story. A night of partying at Zwink, I had left Chris exhausted. To his dismay, he had no ride back to Casey Hall. All of his friends had gone home before him. He shielded his face from the raindrops falling to the ground. Great. Rain. How was he supposed to make it across Zwinkatopia on foot in the thunderstorm? Just as he was about to complain to himself, thunder crashed from the gloomy sky, sending him running as the downpour got heavy. He sprinted until he couldn't recognize the area around him anymore. Am I lost? You've got to be kidding, he thought to himself. He was horrified of lightning, and there was no way he was going to spend the night outside. He had to find shelter. He noticed a large manor nearby, and seeing as there was nothing better around, quickly he ran inside. The owner, a fragile old man, allowed him to stay the night, and even offered him breakfast upon morning's arrival. Chris thanked the man, grateful for the kind gesture, and followed the man to a room. Upon entering, he noticed a peephole in the door. Curiously, he peeked through it, to discover a view of nothing more than the hallway they had taken to get here. There is one thing you should know before you go to bed, the man said as Chris looked away from the peephole. Really? What's that? My daughter walks the hallway at night, so I wouldn't recommend you look through that hole after midnight. This seemed peculiar, since Chris hadn't noticed anyone except the man in the house. He reluctantly agreed, and the man left the room. At around 2 o'clock a.m., Chris woke to sounds of footsteps outside the door. Trying to keep true to his word, he didn't check what was outside for an hour. By 3 o'clock a.m., it was clear he wouldn't be able to sleep unless the noise stopped. He stumbled to the door. His eyelids felt heavy with sleep. He put his eye to the hole, expecting to see a girl outside, walking the hallway. Instead, all he saw was red. No hallway, nothing, just red. He woke on the floor in front of a peephole, memories of the night before flooding his mind. He decided to ask the owner of the manor at breakfast. "Oh, so you looked then, did you?" the man asked calmly. "Yes, I apologize, but I couldn't sleep with all that noise. I didn't see your daughter. Where is she anyway?" "She doesn't come in the daytime." "Isn't that a bit odd?" "You see, my daughter died in the hallway 2 years ago." Chris didn't know what to say to this, but he felt his face go pale. "I don't understand. When I looked through the peephole, I didn't see anyone at all. All I saw was the color red, and then I blacked out, just a dark shade of red." "Yes," the man said quietly, sipping from hhis coffee. "Her eyes are red." And that is the end of the second story, called Red by Rich Princess, by x-rich_princess-x. That's actually a really good story, just to look in the peephole and then you see, you think it's just a red hallway or something that's out there when really it's the eyes of the creature or something. That was actually very interesting, the story. So we're going to start the third story. This one is called Be Careful Who You Trust by xfish_boss. So let's start the story. Alone, helpless, and terrified, she lay on the cold floor of the van, waiting to see what was going to happen next. She thought of home. She thought of people she may never see again. All for him, the one she trusted with her life. She'd known him so long. What could have gone wrong? Anna was an only child. Her parents weren't home much. She didn't have many friends. Anna spent her life on the Zwinky. That's where she socialized. It's where she felt she belonged. It's where he was. He was her best friend. They'd known each other 3 years, and it was time to meet up. Jake lived 3 hours away from Anna. They hadn't met sooner because Anna was always unsure, but this weekend her parents were away and she was confident nothing would go wrong. The day came and her parents were gone. Anxiously, Anna waited for his arrival. She was going to tell him how she felt and everything was going to go swimmingly. Anna logs into Zwinky and sees he's left her a Z-note saying, "I can't wait to meet you." Anna smiled and thought of meeting him. Then there was a knock on the door. She runs downstairs, answers the door. There he was, Jake, a man in his 30s. He dragged her out and stuck her in his van. She screamed, but no one heard her. No one was there, her heart racing fast as she felt the van moving. Eventually, the van stopped and she was dragged out of the van into a house surrounded by forest. He didn't say much other than, "Oh, we're going to have so much fun, Anna. I've been waiting so long for this, Anna." Before getting to the house, Anna bit Jake's arm and he let go. Weak but determined, Anna ran into the forest. Jake didn't follow. Anna hid in a small cave. She was laying there when she heard it. The van, the footsteps, then a gunshot. Months went by and eventually Anna's body was found. Well, most of it anyway. On Anna's arm there was a message cut in, "Be careful who you trust." No one knows if it was Anna or the murderer who carved this in. But the message was clear. Police never did they find Jake. And that is the end of the third story. Be Careful Who You Trust by xfish_boss. That is pretty crazy, and this is true as well. You never know who you could trust on Zwinky. You never know if they can be telling you lies about themselves, or, especially when it comes to their age. Overall, Zwinky says you cannot say your age, don't tell people your age for their safety, but, that's kind of like, wow. But, people do it anyway. So, yeah, this was a really good, creepy story, you never know if, pedophile or somebody's gonna be coming to your house, that's just, you never know what can go wrong. Now, this fourth story, this is the final story for part 2. This one story is called Beyond the Grave by BNT-ELQ. I don't know how you would pronounce that username, so I'm gonna just spell it like that. So, let's start this fourth and final story. Once upon a time, there was a big green land named Zwinky, where people from different races, ages, and ideologies used to live. The founders of this land were 4 best friends, 3 girls and 1 boy. They worked hard to build the 3 major cities of this land: Lovely Pot Palace, the Castle, and Mistletoe Manor. However, there was a place that seemed as if it was the devil's territory. They called it Beyond the Grave. The place was like a cursed forest. The trees were deep red, and the soil was dark black. Since the day the four friends, Mace, Sarah, Ashley, and Dylan settled in Zwinky, they decided to never take a step toward that dreadful forest. But as days passed, Dylan became curious and made his mind to discover it himself. After 3 days of his absence, the girls decided to look for him there. It was a bloody place where skulls covered every field, and to find Dylan among this chaos seemed literally impossible. After searching for him for 2 days, they finally found him. He was pale and couldn't mutter a word. They fed him what could restore his strength, and lit a fire to warm him and themselves. After a long silence, Dylan took out of his leather bag 3 apples. "Here," he said as he offered them to his friends. "They helped me survive this far." Tasty," said Mace as she took one and handed the rest to Sarah and Ashley. The 3 girls ate the apples while chattering, and gradually, every trace of their voices had vanished. On the cold ground lay the girls with drops of blood on their lips. Tears of guilt found their way on Dylan's pale cheeks. "I'm sorry," he said as he reached them. "Have humans been anything but selfish?" he asked himself as he carried the bodies to a large tree. There was a young man with reddish hair and glowing eyes that kept staring at Dylan as he replaced his dearest bodies before him. You did it after all," said the man. "My freedom, can I have it now?" asked Dylan with a shaking voice. Doing the moral thing to get out of an immoral place. Fair enough," said the man. Dylan, wake up! Enough sleeping! Ugh! Those voices, Dylan thought they are. Sarah, Ash, Mace, he exclaimed with excitement, happiness, and disbelief as he woke up. "Yes," the girls replied while eyeing each other. "Gosh, guys, I missed you so freaking much," he said with a big smile on his face. On the other hand, the girls gave no comment and accompanied him as they walked in the green fields of Zwinky. Dylan was too happy to notice the drops of blood that covered some parts of his friends' dresses, or their pale skin, and the displeasure in their laughters. Far away from them stood the red-haired man watching, and with a tiny smirk on his lips, he said, "Serves you right." And that is the end of the 4th final story of Beyond the Grave, created by BNT-ELQ8. That was very good story. That was creepy, kind of reminds me a lot of, the moderators, Miss Adventure, Miss Awesome, Mystery, the rest of them. And this story was actually really good, very creepy, So great job on that. And that is all the stories that, Zwinky has provided for us, for the Zwinky Skull Scribes. I kind of wish that they would put the rest of the winter stories. I don't know why they only put half of them. It does not say they would be putting part 3 or something like that, so, I don't know. As a matter of fact, they might actually make a part 3. I'm not sure, but I would think that, since I'm so used to, being on Zwinky, they usually have part 1, part 2, So, they might make a part 3. I'm not sure. They might. But if they do, then I'll be making another vid reading part 3 of the rest of the winter's Zwinky Skull Scribe stories, their scary stories. So I hope you all enjoyed this vid, and happy Halloween. It's going to be coming up in 2 days, so happy holidays, and thanks for watching and listening to the stories. See ya, YouTubers!